everyone, and welcome to the VR School Study video glossary of A to Z terms in virtuality. This series is designed for teachers and students who are interested in all things virtual, particularly augmented reality, virtual reality and mixed reality. I'm Associate Professor Erica Southgate, here to guide you through K to N of the glossary. We're up to K. And for K, we have killer app. Now, this is often a term you will hear in the digital world and particularly the digital marketing world. And it refers to any kind of computer application that is actually forges the way in terms of how we might interact with or use the digital world. In particular, one that's very important or justifies or motivates people to purchase equipment or software. Often this kind of killer app revolutionises the way we understand and interact with and use the digital environment. For instance, the very first web browser, Mosaic, was a graphical web browser. This allowed both text and images to be downloaded from the internet, the early internet. And from there it led to more graphical web browsers, including the ones we know and use today. In extended reality technology, everyone's searching for the killer app or the sort of application which will create uptake of the technologies, great uptake of the technologies. On the screen you can see that the BBC's recently published how broadcasting concerts live or after the fact in virtual reality could in fact be the killer app. In other words, it could make, if you actually record in 360 mode, what happens on stage, you can feel as if you're on stage with the performer, or you can actually take different kind of aerial or seated perspectives on this through virtual reality. And this could kind of revolutionise the way we use VR for entertainment, but also for learning. So it's kind of one idea for a killer app for VR. So this is yet to be done at any kind of scale or kind of technical revolutionary competence, but it certainly is an idea that people are exploring and pushing for with virtual reality. So you'll often hear the term killer app. There isn't a killer app at the moment for these technologies, but there's always a quest for one. Whether that ever happens, who knows? Maybe there'll just be a series of apps that allow us to use these technologies in different ways for leisure and learning. We're up to L, or L is for locomotion, and this is the way we get around and interact in virtual and augmented realities. So locomotion is very important because it creates the way we understand, interact with, and feel the virtual environments that we're using in these sorts of technologies. So one important thing to do is to understand and to really step back when you use a virtual or augmented reality act or a mixed reality application. Understand how you're moving in that environment, how you're interacting in that environment, how you're navigating in that environment. So there are many different ways to understand locomotion. And the reasons for really getting it right in these environments. So really, locomotion's key to minimising cyber sickness or feelings of being kind of ill or having motion sickness in this technology, particularly in virtual reality. It's really important to understand how we use interaction techniques in virtual reality to gain a sense of agency or control in that environment, how we can interact with and navigate to and with virtual objects, and that will increase our sense of immersion in the environment or feeling like us being really in there in the environment, creating a better experience. And of course, locomotion techniques are really linked to accessibility. So being able to have accessible ways for all people to interact and navigate in these environments. You can see on the screen that there's multiple ways of having kind of locomotion or interaction and navigation in these environments. including using hand controllers or controller to teleport within the environment, so you're not actually feeling like you're moving in there, but you're jumping from internally in the space and from spaces to spaces. Sometimes this teleportation can be with a controller, although increasingly it's with hand gestures, as you can see below. And being able to move through hand gestures is an area that's being developed right now. In the middle is something which is a really neat kind of way of strapping yourself into a treadmill type device, where you can safely feel like you're actually walking through or running through or even flying through virtual environments. So these are of course quite expensive and experimental, but they're certainly out there. So one thing which would be good when you go into a virtual reality environment or even an augmented reality or mixed reality environment is to understand the ways in which it's been designed to allow you to interact and move and navigate. So something to look out for. Okay, mixed reality. Well, this is an interesting term because it's changed a lot over time, and it's changing significantly at present with technical advancements. So mixed reality used to mean where you would use a real world object in a virtual environment. So you might pick up a real world hammer and be able to hit a virtual nail in VR. So, you kind of got the sensing or the interaction between the real object and the virtual environment. Or you could bring in, for instance, real world views, say live streaming into a virtual reality environment. So you could live stream, a concert, or you could live stream a conference into that environment. Increasingly, it really is about creating environments where the digital content or the virtual kind of asset or thing in the environment senses what's in the real environment. So if you put on a pair of smart glasses or a headset, increasingly you can have digital content or virtual objects projected onto that environment, but they're just not overlaid on the environment as in AR. They actually sense and interact with the real world environment. So for instance, the little robot here would not be just overlaid onto the real world environment as in AR, but would actually be able to sense the couch and sense the cupboard and be able to virtually jump over the couch and sit on it rather than just be overlaid. Now it's interesting from an educational point of view because of this of course creates much more interactive, interesting and immersive experiences. And it could mean, for instance, in the future, we could have a mixed reality environment where an actual, we put on a headset or a pair of smart glasses, and for instance, a dinosaur could walk through our classroom and interact in real terms with the furniture in the classroom and with the students in the classroom. Which could be quite wonderful from an educational perspective, but also a bit scary, who knows. But that's mixed reality, something to look out for. The new headsets are all about mixed reality, so stay tuned. So N is for non-gaming AR and VR. So much of this AR and VR is about gaming and leisure. So it really is about creating augmented and virtual reality environments where we can, go into fantasy worlds and interact, and often they're networked worlds so we can play with others. But there is a burgeoning kind of interest in using these technologies for education, and there's some very good applications out there. So for instance, there's the top picture is of Anne Frank's house. So there's a virtual reality application where you can navigate through Anne Frank's house and get a sense of just, what it was like to be hiding in that space. It's a really interesting experience that immerses you there. You can often, there's the creation of these sorts of virtual environments for history and geography where you can travel, feel like you're travelling to distant places and get a sense of the scale and the kind of feel for the environment in those places and cultures. Or for augmented reality, for instance, there's applications where you might use a screen like your smartphone or tablet to look at a particular virtual object. For instance, here's a mummy, and you could press a button, and within the virtual environment, and you can peer in to the mummy's case and see the actual mummy within the sarcophagus. So this will give you a sense of how the sarcophagus itself is much larger than the mummy inside, and what archaeologists will get a sense of. Archaeologists will get a sense of when they were sort of taking these particular precious objects apart. So this is often used, for instance, for museum education or art gallery education, but increasingly for education more broadly. So it's good to look out for non-gaming AR and VR. Sometimes they use the kind of locomotion or navigation and interaction techniques of games to increase immersion in these environments. But you can often Google and look up non-gaming VR or educational VR or VR for learning, and the same for AR and MR, and you'll get a list of apps. Some of them are free, some of them aren't, that are good to use in the classroom. So thank you for watching this particular part of the glossary on virtuality and extended reality technology. Stay tuned, because next up we have O to S for video 4, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy that.